Nacht der Untoten introduced us to the mode of zombies. Verrückt brought in the crucial innovation of perk machines, the power switch, and the moving mystery box. Shi No Numa laid the groundwork for the story behind it all, and then came Riese, the map that took everything before it and perfected the formula, setting the standard for everything that followed. Riese had an incredible setting, brought one of the biggest innovations to the mode, had a nearly perfect map design, and would go on to set the precedent for many of the zombies maps that followed. In my opinion, Riese was the first zombies map that's in S tier, and it's evident with how many times this map has been remade in future Call of Duties. So with that, please feel free to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you feel like supporting, and let's take a look at what this map did so well. The Riese factory and project is where Dr. Ludwig Maxis and Dr. Edward Richtofen worked together on several experiments and where a lot of the lore really picked up for the mode. Through the radio messages that can be found across the map, we can piece together some puzzle pieces. Firstly, we can see Dr. Maxis asking the Reichstag for additional funding and a steady source of Element 115 to streamline their experimentation and perfect their teleportation device, which they refer to as matter transference. We can also see Maxis indicate that the US has a large deposit of Element 115 at the Nevada base, which we now know as the Groom Lake facility or the starting room for Moon in Black Ops 1. The second radio shows us that Maxis is trying to train the zombies. He still believes that they can follow instructions, however this backfires when the zombie attacks him and needs to be put down. Radio number 3 introduces us to Samantha's new pregnant dog Fluffy that Maxis gives her, which we will learn a bit more about in the phonograph recordings. The last and final radio, Radio 4, portrays an outbreak at the Riese facility and the unaliving by neck rope of one of the scientists, H. Porter. We see Porter talking about not being able to find his pills, referring to a contingency plan that was put in place should the facility be discovered by enemy forces or overrun to commit mass scooter ankle via poisoning, most likely by cyanide pills. The 3 phonograph recordings can be summarized as follows. Maxis puts the pregnant Fluffy into the teleporter, she disappears so they think that it's a failure, and then they later see the electricity appear outside of the teleporter. This causes them to freak out, and then Richtofen takes his opportunity to trap Maxis and Samantha inside the teleporter, then uses it and says peace out as they then disappear. According to the official storyline, Ultimus goes to the Riese facility as Richtofen is trying to use the teleporter to go to Griffin Station on the moon to take over control of the NPD and take control of the zombies. To be completely honest though, the entire storyline of zombies at this point is so freaking complicated that I probably butchered some of that, so take my lore splaining with a heaping handful of salt please. As with many other World at War maps, the Riese map can be found in both the campaign as well as in previously released multiplayer map. On the campaign mission, Eviction, the Riese map is not easily found in the playable area. However, you can easily find Riese in the multiplayer map, Nightfire. It is easy to see how they transform this map into Riese, however the way that they manipulate the atmosphere, it makes it feel like an entirely different experience. Modern zombies maps feel like the multiplayer or Warzone maps with just zombies added, but these earlier zombies maps feel like a unique experience that's not just a conglomeration of reused assets and areas. Riese's map design strikes a near-perfect balance between accessibility and depth. Its symmetrical layout makes it easy to learn, but its open-ended structure rewards players who take time to master its flow. The placement of teleporters, perk machines, and the pack-a-punch all guide players through a natural progression, encouraging movement without making it feel forced. It's a layout that supports both new players learning the ropes and veterans developing high-round strategies. Visually and sonically, Riese nails the tone. It really immerses you in the setting of an abandoned Nazi research facility. The map's drenched in this cold, industrial aesthetic. It has flickering lights, deep metallic hallways, and the accentuation of deep blue tones. There's also this really annoying clicking sound that happens over and over again, and I found out when recording this video, it's actually the second hand on the clock ticking in the same place over and over and over again. I used to think that it was like a hammer striking because you're in a factory, but nope, it's the clock. And another fun fact is that on the clock, the time is stuck at 1:15 or 1:15. The second hand just continually clicks over and over and over again, with time never progressing. The map really walks a fine line between horror and action, establishing a mood that complements both the gameplay and the lore. The setting doesn't scream at you, it's not over-the-top scary, and it's really not in your face, but it absolutely adds to the experience and immerses you into the place where you know unspeakable actions took place. Another thing that truly cements Riese as one of the best maps is how replayable it is. Every element of this map feels intentional. Whether you're camping on the catwalk with your friends or training in the courtyard, the map supports multiple viable strategies without ever feeling repetitive. Its clean design and smart layout makes each run feel fresh, and even years later, it's a map that players come back to, not just out of nostalgia, but because it's just that good. Now that we understand a little bit more about the setting, lore, and map design of Der Riese, let's take a look at how it brought the biggest innovations to the mode yet. Der Riese introduced one of the most groundbreaking innovations in Zombies history, the Pack-a-Punch machine. Before this map, weapon progression simply didn't exist. You were stuck with whatever base stats a gun had. Take the Kar 98K for example. On Nacht der Untoten, it might get you through round 5 or 6 if you're lucky, but after that, it's going to be pretty useless. With Pack-a-Punch though, even a weapon like the Kar 98K becomes technically viable in the later rounds. Of course, no one's actually packing a Kar 98K unless they're trying to make a point. That thing is still pretty cheeks. The principle though still applies across the board. Weapons like the MP40, STG-44, FG-42, which normally drop off in power by the mid-rounds, suddenly become contenders again once upgraded. It gave players a reason to experiment, to strategize, and most importantly, to survive longer. But Der Riese didn't just stop at the Pack-a-Punch. It also introduced a handful of iconic tools that would become staples of the Zombies experience. Monkey bombs, the Bowie knife, teleporters, a new power-up, and the mode's very first real Easter egg. Monkey bombs were a brand new type of tactical grenade. When thrown, they'd play a jingle, lure in nearby zombies, and then explode. Not only were they perfect for clearing out hordes, but they also became a clutch tool for reviving teammates or escaping tight situations. The Bowie knife was another game changer. For 3,000 points, you could swap out your standard knife for a massive upgrade that could one-hit kill zombies up until around 9 or 10, making early game melee strategies far more viable. However, I do want to note that this is the first introduced melee weapon outside of just the base knife in the game. And then there were the teleporters. These served two purposes. First, they were essential for unlocking the Pack-a-Punch machine. You couldn't just turn on the power and access it. You had to link each of the 3 teleporters to the mainframe, one by one, to open up the chamber. Once linked, they became fully functional teleporters that you could use for 1,500 points to instantly return to the center of the map. Whether you were cornered by a horde or needed to quickly reposition, teleporters added a whole new layer of strategy and mobility to the mode. The Carpenter power-up was also introduced, which would rebuild all the barriers on the map and give the players 200 points for free. It's not the most useful power-up, but hey, free points and it takes the zombies a little bit longer to get to you. The Flytrap Easter egg on Der Riese is one of the first real Easter eggs that is found in Zombies. It starts with the player shooting a hidden control panel with a pack-a-punched gun, which would then lead to these glowing objects flying up in the sky with a demonic Samantha voice saying this.
I want to be king.
From here, the player would have to find and shoot 3 toy animals that can be found in a broken window in this factory building, in the furnace of the automobile garage, and in the animal cage in the animal testing lab. Once all 3 toy animals were shot, Samantha says this. On World at War, once completing this Easter egg, the player receives an achievement or trophy depending on what system you're playing on, and that's about it. It's nothing too special, but if we didn't have this initial Easter egg, I don't think that we would get the big boys like the Ascension Easter egg, Moon, Mob of the Dead, Origins, etc. There is also a music Easter egg found on Der Riese, similar to the ones found in Nacht, Verrückt, and Shi No Numa. To activate it, you just need to interact with these 3 spinal cord contraptions found throughout the map to play Beauty of Annihilation, which, if you didn't happen to know, this is an absolute banger. There is one last fun, quirky, strange occurrence, or I guess you could call it a small Easter egg, that is found on this map. It happens when you throw a monkey bomb into the furnace, and it says this.
Shit, here come the dogs!
It's the monkeys!
Der Riese didn't just raise the bar, it set it. Almost every Zombies map that came after borrowed something from the map, whether it was the Pack-a-Punch system, teleporters, or the structured power progression. It established the blueprint for what a complete Zombies map should look like. Even maps like Shi No Numa, Ascension, and 5 owe their flow and pacing to what Der Riese pioneered. When Treyarch decided to remake a World at War map to launch alongside Black Ops 3, they didn't choose Nacht, Verrückt, or Shi No Numa. They chose Der Riese. Reimagined as the Giant, this wasn't just a visual upgrade. It brought the map into a modern engine, added new Easter eggs, and wove it deeper into the ongoing Aether storyline. Its inclusion wasn't just fan service, it was a clear acknowledgement of what Der Riese' importance is to the Zombies legacy. And yeah, I know the other classics came back later in Zombies Chronicle, but the Giant was essential at launch. Shadows of Evil, while brilliant, was complex and intimidating for the casual players at the time. It demanded a lot of time, knowledge, and patience to learn the map, things the average Zombies fans might not have given it right out of the gate. Black Ops 3 needed something familiar, straightforward, and fun. A map that players of all skill levels could jump into immediately. Der Riese filled that role perfectly, to be honest. It wasn't just a nod to the past. It was a bridge that brought a lot of the casual fan base into the future of Zombies. Der Riese is a perfect storm. It's the combination of setting, lore, atmosphere, and innovation that makes this map nearly perfect. One of the things that is often not discussed with Zombies maps is fun. It's easy to look at the objective qualities that make a map good or bad, but I don't see a lot of people talking about how fun the map is. Everyone takes a massive shit on Transit and Die Rise for being objectively bad maps, but nobody ever talks about how fun they are to play, especially in co-op. I've had some of the most fun in my life on some terrible maps, yet Der Riese is not one of those. It's objectively one of the best maps, and it's really fun to play. It's an amazing introduction for new players, but it also provides enough challenge to keep long-term players engaged. Der Riese comes in at the first S-tier map that I've done a video essay on, and it is so deserving of that spot. I am a Der Riese lover, and I will fight anyone who disagrees. But please, let me know your thoughts on Der Riese down in the comments. Drop a like on the video if you agree or disagree with me, and please subscribe if you'd like to see my hot takes on more Zombies maps in the future. I am currently working toward making a review on every Treyarch Zombies map, but this is going to take me forever, so please check out some of my previous videos in this playlist if you'd like to support. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have an incredible rest of your day. Peace!